9 to 5. What a way to make a living. Crypto's on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No thanks, no fees, just decentralized. Crypto paradise. Ooh. No thanks, no fees.
Alrighty, good morning from Paradise Surfers. Happy Friday. It's September 26th. Time is flying by. We're almost in Q4. 2026 is almost on the horizon here. I cannot believe it, but happy to have you back here, Crypto Hitman. We got a lot to cover today. PCE numbers just came out. That is the Fed's preferred data set that looks at inflation, looks at spending as well. So we'll get into that, but the numbers came right in expectations, and the market is rebounding beautifully. The rate cuts are coming, guys. QE is coming. I know you don't want to believe it. I know you want to be bearish. I know you think the cycle's over because last cycle, that's what happened. But guys, history rhymes. It doesn't repeat one for one. So we're in a brand new day. QE coming. PC numbers, we'll dig into that. We'll look at some charts. Maybe we'll have some low cap gems to talk about. Maybe we'll talk about, who knows, what you guys have been up to the past few days during this market rout. How you dealt with that. But yeah, happy to be here, guys. First of all, Nick, how was your day off yesterday? You get anything fun?
I mean, it wasn't really a day off. It was just I had to go to DMV when we were during the live show, and that never goes as quick as you think. I thought the DMV opened at 8. I showed up, and it opens at 9, and there's already people pulling into the parking lot. So I thought I could make it quick in and out. Couldn't do that. And then after all of that, even though it's a new car I bought, since I bought it in Illinois and not Missouri, they need an emissions test. So I had to go drop that off this morning to pay the government more money for the emissions test. Pretty silly. I mean, the funny thing is with the DMV and all this stuff going on is the government, this is why we're in so much national debt. Nothing is connecting. Nothing talks to each other. You got to go downtown, then go to here, then go to Dobbs, then go to there. And I'm just trying to pay my taxes. Do you want my money or not? Just take my money and give me the tags. Thank you very much. This is why people don't go and pay their taxes or don't go and get their tags, because when decent people like myself try to do it, you got to go 4 different places and spend a nickel there, a dime there, and then finally thousands of dollars to the government.
Sounds like a great day off. It sounds very relaxing, just like a day at the beach, right? DMV, day at the beach. I hear that's the same exact thing. So, yeah, glad to hear you got that resolved. Of course, goddamn government is taking our money, dragging us through administrative loopholes. Yeah, pain in the ass. I got to get my cars, actually. I got to do something with my car. I've had it for like 5 years. Still don't have an inspection sticker. Don't pull me over, officer. Anyway, let's get in the charts here. It's actually a good thing you were gone yesterday and not looking at the charts, because, man, Bloody Wednesday maybe doesn't even begin to describe it. I guess you got a chance to look into it since then. Is this just further manipulation by the market makers, or is this like structural weakness here, or real macro factors playing into it?
Well, I mean, we saw that the traditional markets went down yesterday as well. We had that massive sell-off in Bitcoin and Ethereum. The shorts have piled in. You had Peter Schiff talking about how silver is outperforming Ethereum for the day. And you got, Jim Cramer celebrating that he actually didn't pick a low himself for once. So those are all low indicators to me. Now, we've been talking about how we think 100,000 on Bitcoin is major mental barrier. You do not want to go there. I didn't see us going below this 107 ever again. So we'll see if that plays out here. We need to hold it right here, right now. But really, these kind of look like what we were talking about. This, you had a risk of an A down, a B up, and a C down, or this being a bear flag, which the measured move has completed. You are oversold on the RSI. You do have a bullish divergence where the RSI is higher while price is lower. That's also a bullish divergence. And then I'll let you get into the PCE numbers again here shortly, which has also been bullish. So a lot of the macros and on the bigger picture, things are looking bullish that a low is already happened or a low is very near. And if we look on Ethereum's chart as well, it needs to get back above this 4,000 level. But this is why I wanted to look at this chart. If you've been tuning into the live show, we put this sell zone here when we gave you a buy all the way down here at $1,800 or less. We then created the sell zone based off of an inverse head and shoulders that ended up being where Ethereum has continued to consolidate. And when we were up here, we said, hey, we want to continue higher, which we did for a weekend, and then we had that Monday sell-off. But if we fall, it can go all the way to 38 to 3,900, and this will just be a bullish retest of the original breakout level. That is what has happened. That's why we're not panicking. This is perfectly fine from a technical perspective for a bullish retest. You also see that this was a bear flag. The measured move completed. Super oversold on the RSI like Bitcoin. Super oversold on the technometer like Bitcoin. I mean, these are the types of lows where, yes, it doesn't feel good. Could you go lower? Yes. But at some point, you need to have some conviction, have some balls, and either buy back your positions or add to your positions if you have the cash. And if you were traders up here and you traded out on the all-time highs, or this weekend seemed like a fake out to you, this is where you want to start buying back in, because this is a bullish retest. You got Bitminer buying more Ethereum. They have another $365 million. SharpLink Gaming announcing they have more capital and cash available. This is a perfectly normal level and a perfectly normal retest we see here on Ethereum.
Yeah, I'm not worried at all. I mean, I think some of this was manipulation. We documented that pretty heavily on the Monday crash. Some of it, I think, maybe market participants panic selling. Oh, what's the Fed going to do? Is the market cycle over? I mean, we're coming up on, if you believe in the 4-year halving cycle still, you're coming up on, 30-something days until you expect the Bitcoin all-time high to have occurred. So, I think there's some of that going on. But the true chads, Tom Lee, the traders who are looking at these charts, I think will be buying this dip. And today's PCE report, if you look at those numbers and you look at the stock market's performance as of this morning, you would see that we are rebounding here, because the data is indicating that the Fed is going to continue on its path of further rate cuts. The numbers came in exactly at expectations. And so, to me, Q4 is still looking great. The funny thing about, by the way, Q4 in October, I was starting to question it a bit at some point during September, because we had an explosive September, didn't we? Up until we basically gave up all the gains. So September is going to come in probably slightly red, or maybe a little bit green, or maybe just at neutral. And it's primed for October to do very, very well. So I think we're in a good spot. A little bit of a scare yesterday. What's the Fed going to do? Well, data comes out. You know what? Inflation's basically where it was at last month. Nothing to look at here, and the Fed's going to continue on its further rate cut path at the end of October.
What's interesting too, you're talking about market cycles. Normally, the Bitcoin is on a 4-year cycle, and that's because of a couple things. Number one, when it was launched at the bottom of the crash, the 2008-2009 crash. You have the 4-year business cycle that occurs in traditional markets, because that's when the government refinances debt. And then, of course, you have the halving structure, which every 4 years, the inflation gets cut in half on Bitcoin. That has kind of been the perfect storm of these 4-year bull markets that have caused exponential growth over time and giving you that 1 year of just euphoria. Now, we've been on the path saying, hey, even if that just repeats itself, we see an explosive Q4, and the top happens sometime before the end of 2025. But we believe there's a couple reasons that it could extend into 2026. So we've been talking about how we've had QT for so long, and we're just now getting QE. We have a very bullish president and regulatory framework for 2026 and beyond for Bitcoin. We have the Bitcoin spot ETF coming into play, which when gold ETF was launched, that elongated the gold bull run. So why wouldn't it elongate the Bitcoin one? But another thing to note, I heard somebody talking about yesterday, and we never have talked about this, with all of our predictions and thinking the extension is coming. Here's another thing that leads me to believe that we could extend. The 4-year business cycle that's occurred forever is no longer a 4-year business cycle. It's actually a 5-year business cycle due to COVID. During COVID, they decided that instead of doing the 4-year refinancing of debt, they're going to change it to a 5-year. And that doesn't occur until when? Not 2025 like it's supposed to, but actually 2026. So if the traditional markets and the government and the monetary supply, the M2 money supply is no longer on the 4-year cycle, but now on a 5-year cycle, is the Bitcoin doing 4-year cycles just because of the halvening? Or is it doing 4-year cycles because of the broader 4-year business cycle and the influx of money printing that occurs? I think that is another argument that potentially could lead to people looking at an elongating of the Bitcoin cycle, as it will now be on a 5-year cycle to match the broader business cycle.
I think I saw that same video. Was it Raoul Paul that did the video you saw? He's a very notable Bitcoin bull, former Goldman Sachs guy, billionaire, right? And very good with macros, very good with charts. I think we saw that same video, and it just lines up with all our other theories and theses here. I mean, if you think about the 4-year cycle, people, I guess they are trapped in this view of it's the dates, guys. It's the dates. It's the exact number of days, and that's all that matters. I'm like, no, it goes much deeper than that. There's fundamental macro-based reasons why on certain dates things happened, right? And so it would be highly, highly unusual for this cycle to simply end just because a date occurs when the Fed is starting QE, when the business cycle is actually pushed out to 5 years based on a change they made in terms of refinancing the debt you just mentioned, based on the fact that Trump and his administration are pushing this Clarity Act now, the end of the year bill that's going to be signed into law, which is going to provide a lot more regulatory clarity around crypto assets as a whole, right? So there's many, many reasons why you would expect this cycle to continue. Not to mention, we haven't had the euphoria. We haven't had the blow off top. We haven't even barely, if you look at the fear and greed indicator, we've barely edged our way into the greed territory before snapping back. Now we're in fear again. We never had euphoria. We never had a blow off top. So why would you expect the cycle to end before all those things happen? That's just how I look at it. Look, could we be wrong? Sure, we could be wrong. You got to have humility in the financial markets. That's the other thing I've noticed too. People are like, this is what's going to happen. I know because I know. It's like, really? Have some humility, man. Nobody knows the future. We're all just trying to take our best educated guesses at it. But my educated guess says, with QE coming, Clarity Act, the 5-year cycle, we never had euphoria. We could well run into 2026, guys. So I'm not panic selling here. Very happy to see these PCE numbers come out right in line and see the financial markets and the regular stock market rebounding. I think that little scare of the past couple days was a bit of an overreaction, a little of a buy the rumor, sell the news on the Fed rate cut, and now we're back on track looking at the next rate cut.
Yeah, and here's another reason why I think the markets are set for a bounce. Because America rules the financial markets of the entire globe, and Americans are chads. Here's Bryson DeChambeau in the Ryder Cup this morning, driving the green over the trees. This is America. This is why Bitcoin will rally. America rules the financial markets, and we're chads at heart. Sorry, Europeans, for the next few days with the Ryder Cup going on, I am not your friend, and I'm here to take all your money.
Let's go America. Yeah, this has a direct bearing. Bryson DeChambeau's drive off the tee has as much direct bearing on the outcome of this bull market as that arbitrary number of 543 days. That's exactly how long all bull runs last. Those two things are exactly as correlated. So we're in a good spot, guys. We're in a good spot, not least because the Americans are going to win the Ryder Cup, but because this bull run hasn't really barely kicked off. We've grinded up because of Michael Saylor and because of the ETFs, but it's been in the face of quantitative tightening. It's been in the face of absolutely no retail interest outside of the, true believers that have been here forever in the crypto markets. Thank God for Donald Trump. It's, Donald Trump's had a lot to do with it as well. So there's a number of reasons why Bitcoin and Ethereum has outperformed, but we haven't seen any alt season. We haven't seen Ethereum break above its previous all-time high. I know BNB's doing well because it's manipulated and CZ holds 64% of the supply. But, we haven't seen nothing yet, guys. And so, look, I don't know. I think you got to have some humility. Things are not going to happen exactly the same as last time. It's never exactly the same. It's never exactly the same. Maybe in retrospect, you look at it that way, but it's never exactly the same. So, we're in a good spot, y'all. I am not worried whatsoever, and I'm held on to my assets through this dip just like I've held on to every single one.
Yeah, let's take a look at the Aster chart here. This is one that we were talking about that we were saying does look a little toppy and needed $2 to hold. Otherwise, you could see some capitulation. And yesterday during the red, even Aster couldn't stay green. It did go down as low as 174. It's trying to regain itself now back to 194. Again, major overhead resistance is going to be about $2.02. And you do see a bearish cross on the short-term time frame MAs, and you do see decreasing volume. When you see decreasing volume in an uptrend, that means the bulls are getting exhausted. Can this continue to run? There is a possibility because a lot of the degenerates are still trading perps. Those perps are producing revenue, and portion of that revenue is used for buybacks and burns of the Aster token, which could, make all of this that I'm talking about irrelevant. But I will say just be a little careful. We were calling for a $2 support giveaway. It could drop. It did drop 12.5% after that $2 level giveaway. And I wouldn't really get excited until you get back above this wick up here, which it looks like the high on that wick was $1.99, so right around $2. I would probably move that up a bit and say, like, you need to get above 203 or 204. This is one that I don't own currently. If you FOMO'd in when CZ made a tweet, you are currently up 176% since about September 19th. So in about a week, you're up 176%. Pretty solid for a large cap. But there is some, wearying signs that this big exponential growth might have some consolidation to go. And obviously could get some tailwinds if the overall market turns green for you. But key levels, just want to give you the levels even though we don't own it, because I know it's been the talk of the town over on Twitter. So I want to help out the community if you're watching. Another talk of the town has been Linea. After this big run, Linea has just gone sideways and to the right because there's no real function of it yet as far as buy and burns or anything going on. We also said if this uptrend gave away, watch out below. That gave away at 27 cents, and we went as low as 24 cents. Major support is now down to 21 cents. The interesting thing about Linea is everybody's talking about it, and you have Joe Lubin, and I'm sure it's going to be a great layer 2, and they'll figure out some utility. But there is major token unlocks starting next month. Those unlocks are, number 1, investors, and number 2, participants in the network. So people are on Linea, farming it and using it, trying to earn an airdrop. And when you're doing that, normally you're trying to take that airdrop and sell it for cash or Ethereum or Bitcoin. Rarely are you keeping all that airdrop and keeping it in that actual token. So beware, we might see a sell-off next month, especially considering it's just been sideways consolidation here. If you don't really get momentum going, there's not going to be much incentive for those airdrop hunters to really hold on to positions next month when they get that.
I don't see Linea doing too much outside of it. You were a part of that initial pump. Obviously, congratulations. If you're in the pre-sale, you've done very well. But if you're buying now expecting like explosive gains, I just don't see it happening. Aster, on the other hand, I still think there is a possibility it will continue to run because there is great supply control. CZ is backing it. They are generating revenue. It is within the hype narrative right now, perpetual dexes. But there is still a lot of risk there because if some of those insiders, right, you just takes one guy to be like, you know what, I'm sick of holding this thing. I want to cash out 10 million, and he just exited a 10 million position, and then all of a sudden you're crashed, for 30 or 40%. Maybe rebounds from there, or maybe it spurs the other whales to say, I'm over Aster. Let's invest in the next perpetual dex product. So there is definitely risk, but I can see Aster well because Aster has been the only bright spot really in this market. And when there is that one bright star and everything else is doing shit, people are like, well, I got to invest in this thing because everybody look at the rest of my portfolio. I have to. So it could continue to do well. My guess is it does continue to do well. My only regret is we didn't make a more aggressive call on it when CZ, was shilling it back, a week or two ago. But I think it can continue to run. My guess is it will. But you do have the risk of a couple whales ruining the party.
Yeah, that's my thing too. I don't remember when. I definitely saw his original tweet. I don't know if I was out and about or what. I wish I would have at least looked into the project because it wasn't like an outright shill. Maybe that's why I didn't get so excited and jump to the charts. It was more of a post, and I think the post said something like, keep up the good work, or something generic like that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Somebody built something on BSC, and he's trying to just get BSC back on the rise. Because when BSC is used, BNB pumps. So I didn't really read it as him being behind the project. And then obviously, day after day passed, he posted about it more. He posted that he owns the tokens, etc., etc. And by then, it kind of felt a little late because you would have been chasing up here, $1.29 after a 55-cent shill, while the overall market, Bitcoin and ETH, has been sideways to lower.
Yeah, I hate chasing pumps like that because it rarely works out, and for the one time it does, it's unlikely to make up for the 10 times it doesn't. So I don't really chase pumps, try not to anyway. But yeah, this was the one that did very well, and I think with CZ you kind of have to realize something. That guy is never just playing checkers. He's playing chess all of the time, 3D chess at that. And so if he's putting out a generic tweet there's a lot more to it than that. There's a lot more background and facts backing that up. And what I mean here is he's likely already bought into the token heavily. He's already orchestrated all his buddies to get in and diamond hand it. Like, it wasn't just, cool product, bro, and, that was it. And the guy's playing 3D chess at all times, so we probably shouldn't have slept on that. But, hey, you can't catch them all.
Yeah, and talking about CZ, here is a BNB. Obviously, it hit up there over almost $1,100. That's insane. Looks like now an ABC correction with the rest of the market. Now, I will say, BNB hasn't touched any of these moving averages since back in July. You haven't had a chance to buy a dip from a technical perspective since July. Even this stopped before it hit it. So, I mean, we're getting really close to this moving average, getting really close to being oversold again. So if the low isn't already in, if you get another wick down here and it comes down to this 912 level or this $890 level and you want some large cap exposure, that is kind of one of those YOLO price points that you can blindly, hold your nose, buy BNB because you think it's already ran a lot. But historically, these have been major support levels, and it, obviously CZ, probably some of the best market makers in the world, they're not even letting retail buy on the touch. They're buying it before it touches over and over again. And that's historically what happens for BNB. So might be something to look into if you don't have any exposure and you're looking for a large cap to buy. If you get down to 912 or this 890, you touch or get close to one of these moving averages, you might just want to start buying it back.
BNB is going to continue to outperform this cycle. CZ's made sure of it. I mean, look at that chart. And you mentioned their market makers. You mentioned the supply. Well, you didn't mention it, but I'll talk about it. The supply control on BNB is tremendous. CZ apparently owns 64% of the entire supply, which is just crazy. If that were a meme, we would be up in arms. I can't believe the dev owns that much. It's a scam. But here it is, number 3 most valuable asset in all of crypto. So it's going to continue to do well. It also be, look, when a coin has a momentum like this, the momentum itself just becomes a factor, right? People see what it did. A lot of other things are languishing, underperforming. Look at this one thing that's running. I'm going to, pile into that. So BNB is going to do well this cycle. Do not bet against CZ. I don't know how high it's going to get. It could be $2,000 by end of this year. If we get an explosive Q4 and Bitcoin's run up to $160,000, $180,000 and ETH's above 5,000, why couldn't BNB be at 2,000? So there's a lot of upside left here, I think, even at these elevated levels. But yeah, it's going to outperform. I just don't see this train slowing down at all.
And the crazy thing about BNB, you talk about that supply control. CZ has so many other assets, they probably really never has to sell at BNB. But now, BNB has become so large, and crypto has become regulated. There's now lending platforms in which you can lend against your Bitcoin. You can lend against your Ethereum. How long until you can lend against your BNB? Now imagine you own 64% of a $30 billion, $50 billion asset in BNB. You got a lifestyle to live. CZ is pretty frugal, but he could just lend against that BNB, stake his BNB, and sell the earnings to pay back the loan, and never actually have to touch the underlying of BNB, which means that supply control exists forever. That's pretty wild.
He's already so rich, he doesn't need to touch.
Right, that's almost like Satoshi's wallet being lost. Satoshi's never touched those Bitcoin. CZ might never have to touch those BNB.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, my guess is he continues to diamond hand. Yes, is there a small risk of something happening? One of his wallets gets hacked, or he decides to go rogue, or he says, you know what, I just need to sell them to make some money. Yeah, sure, that could happen, but my guess is it doesn't. If he's held on to it for it's going on 7-8 years now, and he's held on to it this long and hasn't sold any, why would he start doing it now? He's already one of the richest people in crypto, one of the richest people in the world. So what are you doing needing to sell your BNB? So I think, look, BNB is continuing to do well. We haven't really seen BNB season. See, that's what's interesting, right? Outside of Aster, we haven't seen the meme coin explosion over there. We haven't seen DeFi stuff, to my knowledge, right? I'm sure there's a vibrant ecosystem, but it hasn't really, caught my attention or gotten the all in the mainstream crypto Twitter, got onto my feed anyway. So it feels like there hasn't been a BNB season yet. I wonder if he's trying to engineer that as well. Probably is.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Some of the big assets over there that are well known, like Cake. I mean, it's gone up a little bit, but not much. Cat, Floki, all these really haven't seen reciprocal valuations in their chart, even with BNB going up. Aster did only because CZ shilled it. But we'll see how that goes. And that just shows you, like, no matter what's going on in the market, even though BNB is up, yes, that helps liquidity pools and it helps those assets not be as red. It still hasn't been alt season, and Ethereum is down, Bitcoin is down, and altcoins are really bleeding. So it's hard to swim upstream regardless of what's going on. The same applies for the Surf token and PTGC over on Pulse Chain. When things are down in red, number one, morale is down, momentum is down, you're getting dragged by the LP pools, and just people don't have capital to shift around, trade, and invest in different things. When things go green and people feel like, hey, I'm in profits, it's a lot easier for them to be like, all right, I'll sell some of my PLS, I'm up on it. So I'll take a 20% profit on my PLS, and then I'll go into Surf. Oh, Surf green barred, I'm up 40% on that. Oh, that feels good. I mean, that's how the markets work, and that's how you get momentum, and especially in crypto when it's, a lot of retail participants and low liquidity available. That's why things can get so euphoric so quickly in crypto, and people really forget about that.
Yeah. I was talking about this a little bit yesterday on the solo stream, just different ways to cope. I mean, people forget how quickly the market sentiment shifts. Just like 2 weeks ago, we were feeling great. I mean, I wouldn't say euphoric, but the mood was quite bullish 2-3 weeks ago when ETH was at, $4,700. We knew the rate cut was coming. I mean, things were feeling great. Just feels like blink of an eye, we're in the opposite place because the market crashed and now everyone's bearish and fear is higher and we can't even imagine being bullish. So just remember, things shift, sentiment shifts quickly. Just because we're bearish now doesn't mean we'll always be bearish. My guess is we're going to get bullish and risk on again here, probably starting sometime in early October, Uptober as it's known. But don't fade now, guys. Don't get out of the game right before Q4 or the year after the halving. That would be a massive mistake.
I would agree with that. And talking about leaving money on the table, MicroStrategy, we're currently not in a position. We haven't traded MicroStrategy since, back here, these earlier valuations. Then we rolled into Coinbase and SBET and Bitminer and stuff. But MicroStrategy has seen quite a dip due to the Bitcoin sell-off. What's interesting here is the MNAV of MicroStrategy is now heading towards 1. The biggest, largest Bitcoin strategic reserve that has had MNAVs as high as 4x is now approaching 1. I think yesterday it was like 1.4, but it's down again today, so maybe it's like 1.2, 1.3, which is almost unheard of during this entire run of MicroStrategy. And Michael Saylor continues to buy, continues to accumulate, and continues to raise funds on that narrative. So, again, this is a larger cap play. So if you have less of a risk appetite for your stock portfolio, MicroStrategy, based on the MNAV, based on the RSI, and based on the thesis of Michael Saylor and who he is and meeting with the president and everything else, this is probably getting close to a good level to buy a position or add to a position on MicroStrategy, because the MNAV, in my opinion, is already too low for MicroStrategy. It will never go to below 1. That would be insane. The biggest Bitcoin strategic reserve, the most trusted one, the most efficient one, being worth less than the Bitcoin it holds alone, not including its company. So that's why I think you do have a discount here. Right now, I'm not buying it because I'm more exposed to SBET, Bitminer, Zone, and Coinbase, which are smaller caps than this. But for those of you who are less risk averse or who are more risk averse, this is probably getting close to a good area to buy this large cap.
I mean, I like just buying Bitcoin, right? Like, I don't need proxies. I don't need holding companies. I'm sure I've missed out on a lot of gains, just doing that. But, I like holding Bitcoin, the real deal. And I think Michael Saylor wouldn't begrudge that view regardless. But, MNAV looking juicy. Looks like a buying opportunity. I mean, when Bitcoin dips, usually you will see, strategy dip. And so that's a buying opportunity if you believe in the asset. So, good analysis there. I just want to give a shout out to our loyal viewers. We got Martin in the house. How you doing, bud? Hello. And Todd, good to see you as well. Smash the like, share, and subscribe. Absolutely. We've been getting some good viewers these days.
Definitely hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. The comments are over on YouTube, so if you want to leave comments, for everybody leaving comments on Twitter, that's why you don't see it on the live show. Go to YouTube and do it. And, we'll check out CryptoParadise.net and see if we burnt any surf today. How about that?
We just burned about 500,000 the other day, so, the total amount of supply having been burnt since the token launches is over 3%. I know that much. Okay, a little bit of
Yeah, there
burn
we
yesterday,
go.
but yeah.
Over 3.06% of the total surf supply has already been bought and burnt off the market forever, taking the supply now below 97 million. Pretty good to see. We're seeing that just in the past 24 hours, another 1,700 surf have been burnt. That's auto burned by the trading volume that is occurring on chain. Obviously, with prices down and Pulse Chain still isn't mooning, the volumes are even low. So you can extrapolate, like say Pulse Chain does a 2x or a 3x and the volume's 10x. You can see how quickly the burns can occur. Also, if that's happening, that means that Crypto Paradise is earning more DeFi yield for buys and burns. That means that Crypto Paradise is earning more marketing deals for burns. We're earning more advisory deals for burns. More projects are launching on Pulse Chain that are auto buying and burning surfs themselves with their token taxes. This is how we talk about momentum and the flywheel effect of crypto. This is how it happens. When things are green, we're able to get involved with more projects and provide more value to you as the viewers. Maybe you guys can buy a bag and it goes up, but also inflect some of that value back to the surf token as well, and momentum can rip and roar. I guess talking about momentum, I'm going to find it, but do you want to talk about the Frontier Fund? And, maybe this is why surf is holding such a good floor compared to a lot of assets on Pulse Chain, even with Pulse Chain going down, because we have people who are buying and holding for perks, and one of those perks is the Frontier Fund.
Yeah, Frontier Fund, the 30-day first 30-day period of this term call, this trading term, just ended. They generated approximately 10% net yield to the investors. And so in a month, a very challenging month, where I think if you were to be holding Bitcoin start of September till now, you'd probably be flat or maybe even down. Same thing with ETH. So just holding, you wouldn't have done particularly well. Frontier Fund, you didn't lift a finger and you earned 10% on your funds that you deposited with them. So pretty good outcome. It wasn't the 15% that we were hoping for and that had been hit in the previous round, but 10% during a pretty massive correction and a lot of manipulation and liquidations that have been happening over the past week or so, I think pretty good, and I'm quite happy with it for myself. And for anyone who's looking to earn passive income every month, Frontier Fund is, to my view, one of the best ways to do that in this market. So get your 400,000 surf, get in the next round, which will be opening up in about 30 days. And if we get in October, as everyone's expecting, I would not be surprised if Frontier Fund hits that 15 or maybe 20% next month.
Yeah, and with the dip in the overall markets, the 400,000 surf is cheaper now than it was, 2 weeks ago. So that helps you accumulate, put more into the fund, and get bigger returns. So far, out of all the rounds that we've been involved with, the current yield has been 1.06% daily yield, even though this round was 0.63%, so a little lower, and only producing that 10% return. After all the rounds are completed, they're still at that over 15% monthly on average. So that's after fees and everything. So that's pretty solid to see. And that's why it's nice. You can either compound for the next 30 days, or you can take the profits and leave your initial in there for the next 30 days. So, if people are hurting or you want some fresh cash, pull those profits out, and now you have capital for bills, or you got capital for the next, gem that we call, or buying some more surf, or whatever it may be. So you can use that as you will. But shout out to the Frontier Fund for continuing to put profits in the community's hands. And shout out to everybody who has 400,000 surf and is participating, because this is now the third or fourth month in a row that you have made profits. You can either compound or pull. So that's awesome to see.
And maybe that's why Martin is getting better and better with every day. His money is just growing in the Frontier Fund despite the correction on the overall market and everyone else hurting and complaining and my bags are down and woe is me. Here we are sitting on 10% gains in a month, which I know doesn't sound life-changing, but if you compound that over month after month after month, it absolutely becomes life-changing. So
Yeah,
we got to sleep on the Frontier Fund. I mean, it's been hard right now to make money. So the fact is these guys are making money for us, and that's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah, I think they had the data. I couldn't remember where the data was, but it showed like, hey, they made 10% this month, and if you just held Bitcoin, if you just held ETH, or if you just held Solana, all three of those were down. Yeah, here's Sol for the same time period is down 3.78%, Bitcoin down 2.41%, and Ethereum down 18%. So if you just would have held any of those assets, that's what your money would have looked like. but instead you had that money in the Frontier Fund and you actually made 10%. So outperforming any of these assets if you just hodl them for the month.
Oh, I did hodl them. I also hodled my hodl bag, and I got my Frontier Fund bag. Because Frontier Fund is, let's just be honest, it is riskier than just hodling, you know. So there is liquidation risk and so on and so forth in custodial risk. But, you know, you hodl some of your stuff. You got some of your investment over in Frontier Fund. You know, you got some in some low cap gems that might do 100x if the old season happens, if and when. You know, that's how I diversify, right? So there's nothing wrong with holding. But, yeah, if you're looking for outperformance, added a little bit of risk there. I mean, Frontier Fund is just killing it, man.
Is there any other question, comments, or concerns of kind of going over the Bitcoin chart, the Ethereum chart, BNB? We've talked about the strategic reserves. The PCE numbers came in bullish. What was interesting is I'm surprised the market was so weak yesterday. We saw the GDP was revised up like 0.5%, saying the economy is strong and killing it. 0.5% stronger than people thought. We saw the jobless numbers coming in like 30,000 jobless claims lower than they thought, which is also bullish. And now you have the PCE numbers meeting expectations. You have the chance of an interest rate cut going from 65% up to 94% now for the month of October. I mean, everything is lining up for QE. Everything is lining up for America doing well and some of our allies globally doing well. And the financial markets continue to do well. So it's just like, when does Bitcoin and Ethereum catch up? This is why I don't think you can remain bearish. Gold's near all-time highs. Like, everything to me lines up that we need to go higher. The demand is to go higher. And this is just the biggest shakeout attempt I've seen in many, many years.
Bear trap. Absolute bear trap. But I think the numbers actually yesterday were too good. That was the problem with yesterday. Because if the labor market's actually doing very, very well, and if wages are up, and jobless claims are down, and the economy is doing very, very well, then the Fed all of a sudden is thinking, wait, well, the economy is already too overheated for us to cut further, and so we're going to pause or whatever. But today's PCE numbers came in showing inflation is still not an issue, and that's really the overriding factor here in the Fed's decision. And so that's why you've seen the market rebound today. But yesterday was a little bit of are things like, is the labor market actually not that bad, and so is the Fed going to, put a pause? I think that was kind of in the back of everyone's mind yesterday. If you're watching the, mainstream, I watched a lot of Bloomberg and CNBC and, the talking heads. That was the talking point is, is the labor market better than what the Fed thought? And if inflation comes in higher than expected, will we not get the rate cut? Well, we don't live in that world. We live in the world where PCE numbers came in at expectations, 2.9%, no increase from the prior month. Inflation has essentially been vanquished, guys. And so Fed is on the path for further rate cuts, quantitative easing, and risk assets will finally run, I think, sometime in Q4. The interesting thing about these risk assets, too, not all risk assets are created equal. There's tiers of these things. You come to realize this as well. There's, moderately risky risk assets. Like, I don't know, the most valuable tech stocks in the world, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Meta, etc. It's a risk asset, but it's really not that risky. I mean, it's a $4 trillion asset. People are investing their 401k money every month, all that good stuff. So there's that tier. Then there's like Bitcoin, Ethereum, that's more risky. And then there's like your meme coins, your NFTs, your super risk, right? So it moves down that sort of, the first rate cut, people don't immediately start piling into memes. We need to go down the sort of the ladder here from like tech stocks, mid caps, and Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then finally we'll get into our low cap gems. But that shit doesn't happen overnight. That cycle doesn't happen overnight. So just be patient, guys. Money will flow into risk assets, but it ain't starting with the memes.
Very true. That goes down to the phase breakdown. And right now, everybody, was saying, oh, we're already past the Ethereum part of the cycle and we're on the large caps. I don't think we're there. Like BNB, but BNB is the outlier. I still think we're in the Ethereum, and we might even be that one step before the major Ethereum outperformance, in my opinion. Just because
we were there. We were there like 2 weeks ago.
But that that goes along with the thing that these phases are taking longer than normal. Normally, phase one, the Bitcoin phase, is like 6 months. It lasted a year this time around, and maybe that's because instead of the 4-year cycle, we have a 5-year cycle. And what if things do play out and there's gonna be volatility? If the 5-year cycle is true, that means all those numbers, you got to add 365 days to it, which means that we don't top until the end of Q3 or Q4 of 2026. You might have 2 holiday seasons where you're actually liked at the Thanksgiving dinner table rather than being hated for 3 years at a time. It might be 2 years of happy Thanksgivings.
Oh, man, wouldn't that be great? The crypto gods, smile down upon us, crypto gods. We need 2 cycles of euphoria around the Christmas and the Thanksgiving table. We need that in our lives. But look, do I know that's going to happen? Do I know for certain that's going to happen? No, I do not. But I have enough conviction in it that I've decided to hodl through this recent correction. I know there's some people out there, crypto bit lord. I don't know if it was tongue-in-cheek. I don't know if it was sarcastic, but I saw yesterday, I'm done with crypto. I quit. Now he's quit a bunch of times. But I was seeing a number of these posts on X yesterday. People saying, I'm done with crypto, I quit, I've sold all my holdings, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, damn, bro, why? You needed the money? Like, just chill. Well, what's the problem, dude? Just chill. If you're upset and angry and pissed off about your portfolio or the market or whatever, the solution isn't to sell and go away and miss out on all future gains in this asset class. The solution is to touch grass. I don't know, step away from the chart, go, hang out with friends, grab a drink. Hit the gym, whatever. Watch some golf. I don't know what people like to do, but do something other than selling all of your holdings. That to me is insane.
That'll be even more stressful when you're in the market, you sold all the holdings, and then it goes up, and you're right all along but made no money. And talking about making money, here's GameStop with a big bounce. GameStop has major releases today. They have a Pokemon release, a new video game system release, Yu-Gi-Oh! Release, and they keep printing money over at GameStop. They have billions of dollars of cash. They do own some Bitcoin as well. I wish they would buy some more or buy some Ethereum. But here you go. Got a little overheated. You came right back to the moving average, and now you're bouncing hard, outperforming the general market. Again, I think this thing has strength and potentially gets up to the overhead resistance around $33 by October 3rd. Because remember, there's a snapshot for an airdrop. Every 10 shares of GME you hold, you get 1 stock warrant absolutely free if you hold the asset to and through October 3rd. And you don't need to execute that warrant until next October, which means you have plenty of time to get some free cash. So we'll see what happens. GameStop, the meme stock. Could this turn on memes back in crypto? Could this bring some fun back to the stock market? I don't know, but we're up 21% if you've been following along at Crypto Paradise, and the trend is your friend on this one, in my opinion.
Let's go GameStop, the ultimate meme stock in the market. And I had an epiphany. I had an absolute epiphany. GameStop, to me, exemplifies the future of where the stock market is going. And I'm not saying that every single asset listed on the S&P 500, your Alphabets and, NVIDIA are going to become like degen plays that spend like a bunch of money buying Bitcoin and buying collectibles and like doing these airdrops. But, who's the CEO of GameStop? He's a millennial guy. He's like our age, right? He grew up as like a meme guy probably. So as the new generation comes into positions of power, they become CEOs here, they become CFOs there, they become founders of the next big tech company. Don't you think they're going to take their ethos and the way they've done things and apply it to that company going forward? So I just think we're going to continue to see this trend, more and more meme stocks doing unique and different types of financial engineering and having Bitcoin treasuries and Ethereum treasuries and Dogecoin treasuries and, they're buying collectibles and all that. Because that's the world we grew up in. Our parents don't do things that way, and they think we're weird, which that's the way of the world, right? The elders think the youth is weird. I'm sure I'm going to think my kids do weird shit. That's just how it goes. But they're mostly still in power, right? The boomers are still in power. But there's going to come a time when they're not in power anymore, and that time may be coming sooner than people think. So this is a trend. It's a multi-year, multi-decade trend that I want people to watch out for, and we'll continue to monitor the story. The meme coinification of the stock market.
That's a very good point. I think we're seeing it happen in real time. Hopefully, our generation can keep power for a long time because the younger generation is very, very weird and I don't think they can actually run tech stocks.
They're going to take it too far in the direction of memes. Oh my goodness, Gen Z in charge of Microsoft. That's a scary thought. But no, I'm just messing around. We love you, Gen Z. But look, every generation's time to come. The problem is the boomers have held on for too damn long. They're living for too long. They like their jobs. They have all the money. They made all the all their assets are sky high valuations. They ain't going anywhere.
They had kind of the perfect storm where they were able to have a lot of siblings back then. Inflation wasn't out of control really. They were buying, like this house, for example, for my parents would have been like $100,000. Now this one's like $650,000. It's like it's a totally different world as far as what you have to do in order to create enough wealth to have the same things as what your parents had. Our generation is the first generation that might not be better off than the previous generation. That's kind of always been the mantra of the United States of America and really what has happened. And that really has to do with the devaluation of the dollar, the exponential cost of labor forces, and just a lot of lost trades. A lot of trade school now is where you can make a ton of money because there's a lack of interest. But that means if you need anything done around your house or construction, it costs you a hell of a lot more to get that done. So maybe that's why we're a little outside the box thinkers, meme thinkers, to keep our sanity and trying to create value when in the past you didn't have to work so hard to create that value. You just needed to go to your 9 to 5.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really afford to start the American dream on like a normal salary these days. You can't buy a house. You can't afford it in most metro areas. So you do need to think outside the box. You need to take a little bit of risk. You need to, invest in alternative assets. Get out of the rat race. Get out of 9 to 5. Be an entrepreneur. Whatever. You have to take some risks. But I thought, we fucked up because we were eating too much avocado toast. I thought that's what was the reason.
Our testosterone levels are down. I will say that. Too many microplastics in our ball sacks from our underwear and too many plastic water bottles and everything else. Our testosterone levels are down. So, us guys getting a little older, get the workout in, switch your diet, take some supplements, get those T levels back up, and you'll be amazed at how much more energy you have and how much more value you can produce. That is for sure. No man titties for us, hopefully. Let's fight it off a couple more years.
Well, I've been hitting the gym now that my kids are out of my hair and in school. Summer's over, so I've been hitting the gym.
Stressed out.
T levels up. Yeah, I'm not as worried about the chart. I'll tell you, going to the gym is an amazing thing. So if anyone out there, you guys looking for a way to touch grass and, what I mean, get back in shape, whatever, enjoy your life more, hitting the gym, I recommend it. Haven't gotten into testosterone supplements yet. I just haven't taken the leap. But who knows? I am feeling a little low energy just in general.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't gone to the route of getting like actual medical testosterone or anything like that. But if you do some research just with like multivitamins and ashwagandha and a lot of natural herbs and stuff that actually naturally help boost your testosterone and fight cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone that kills your testosterone.
I can get behind some vitamins. I can get behind some vitamins. I don't need to go to the doctor though.
I'm not doing that yet. Not doing that yet.
That's the future. But the problem is our parents are doing that, our dads are doing that, and they're not leaving the workforce. Powell's out here, damn near 80 years old, and he's, popping pills and taking testosterone supplements, and he's, running the Fed when it should be someone who's in their 50s, probably.
Yeah, and how old's Trump? Like 80 years old, 82, yeah. 79? Like, my God, that guy... Go away. That guy sleeps 3 hours. That guy sleeps 3 hours a day. That guy was just at the Ryder Cup. I'm watching that. He walked DeChambeau out at the Ryder Cup, and now he's getting back on Air Force One to go work all day. It's insane.
How much testosterone does Trump have? Fucking hell. Look, do I want my leaders to have energy and to get shit done? Of course I do. But at some point, retirement. What's wrong with retirement? I can't wait to retire. Jeez, I just want to retire and just relax. And these people are like, no, work forever. Good Lord, man. Good Lord. But I digress. Everything's going to be fine. The markets are going to go up. Fed is going to cut rates. This was the ultimate September bear trap. It happened in 2017. It probably happened last September, too, in the last bull run. Although I think we had a May bear trap that time, didn't we? I remember May things crashed, and then it ran up at the end of the year. So, last bull cycle in the midst of COVID was a little bit of a weird one, maybe an outlier. Rates were damn near zero. I think they were at zero. Government was handing money to people. That was a weird bull run. I wouldn't read too much in the last bull run. 2017 though, man, the parallels are eerily similar, and this feels like September was the ultimate bear trap dump out here, highly manipulated, and they're going to manipulate it right back up come October. I firmly believe that.
Yeah, we got a comment there from Roan if you want to share that one.
Oh, yeah, of course. Okay, well, I might have to head over to GNC today. That's our local vitamin shop and grab some of this ashwagandha.
Yeah, it's just some kind of root, but apparently it's really good for you. Helps your body produce more testosterone. It helps kill cortisol, which is a stress hormone. So, pretty easy. Also, another one that has no side effects and is really proven is creatine. You take 5 to 10 milligrams in your water. Tastes like nothing, and it helps blood flow, brain power, focus, all that. So, that's worth doing as well. It's like $30 for a month. It's like $1 a day to use creatine.
Can't afford it. Can't. Well outside the budget. $1 a day? No. 1 cent a day. That's my budget for supplement.
And here, talking about mimicking 2017, this is the chart we shared. Here's the washout. Here's potentially where we're sitting. And, these things look very similar. The timing looks very similar. In 2017, we ran from like $2,500 to $20,000. I mean, to put that in comparison, that means Bitcoin would run from $100,000 to $1 million. Now, we're not saying that's going to happen, or at least not by the end of 2025, but that would be pretty nice for the overall market. That means Ethereum, I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head, but Ethereum was sub $100 and ran to like $4,000. So, can Ethereum get to 10 is the question that we have right now. And based off 2017 cycle, that would be, a pump for ants if we only went to $10,000.
I don't know if we do a 10x from these levels. It just would require a tremendous amount of capital that I don't think the world is willing and ready to put into Bitcoin yet this cycle. But 244, that's been Nick's prediction. 200K, I mean, completely within the realm of possibility here, guys. I don't know. People, I think they forgot what a true parabolic part of the bull run looks like and what it feels like. And to be fair, I've probably forgotten it too. It's been so goddamn long. But everyone's forgotten it. And so they believe it can't happen again. But it does happen. It will happen. It happens every cycle. And until that happens, I don't think you have the bear market. So it's let's just wait. Let's just see what October brings. November, December. How far into
January, February, March. I feel like LeBron when he's like, not 1, not 2, not 3. We just keep going.
This could well go into 2026. I mean, you said it yourself, right? This could well go into 2026 based on Fed policy and everything Trump's doing. So man, this was the bear trap. This was the washout. This was the manipulation to make the bears think that the bull run's completely done. Get them out. Get the sellers gone, and then let's run this thing back up. Let's do it, CZ. Let's do it, Brian Armstrong.
Well, we got some other
markets. Let's fucking go.
We got some other calls to get to. I got to get some video editing done. I'm also going to watch the Ryder Cup here, USA, to take down Europe, hopefully, over the next couple days. But turn it on. It's like if you don't like golf because it's too quiet, too slow, the Ryder Cup is like your Happy Gilmore golf tournament. It happens every 2 years. It's the 12 best USA players versus the 12 best or 12 worst European players. And there you go. The
man, these guys are great. Golf is actually pretty good. Golf is a pretty good TV package or product, I should say, because they're able to just cut to the action. There's just always action, great shots. If you like golf at all. If you hate golf, then obviously it's not for you. But it's tough. It's a tough life here in crypto paradise, guys. We got to jump off to watch golf at 10 a.m. On Friday.
The
so
nice
tough
thing
life
too
over here. But this is what happens, guys. If you hold on for enough cycles and enough years, you don't really have to work that hard anymore, do you?
It's also not just the golf. It's just look at the scenery. We don't get to touch grass, so I'm going to be here editing videos and looking at charts, but I get to look over the left at some luscious grass and some scenery, right? So that's as close as I'll get to touch
that's the
grass.
best part about golf. That and the drinking of the beers. The actual playing of the golf is, I can take it or leave it. For me, I just walk. In fact, maybe I just go on a walk in the woods with some beers. That's without, we don't even go to the golf. Just woods, beers, walking. There, that's touching grass, guys. That's touching some grass. So good stuff today, guys. We'll be back Monday. We got some videos dropping. So stay tuned to the channel. We'll not do a shill and chill today. I do not think, because the market's not really accommodating it and good for it right now. So we'll just leave that be. But hope you guys enjoyed yourself on the live stream today. And until next week, we will see you on the beach.